Good morning and welcome to lecture 5.1, the first lecture of chapter 5 for Math 20. This would be our first lecture of our class. So exciting. All right. We're going to look at ratios today. A ratio is the quotient of two numbers, quotient division, or the quotient of two quantities that have the same units. For example, small engine fuel is mixed 50 units of gasoline to 1 unit of oil. So we would say that the ratio is 50 to 1. You can also write it as 50 to 1. Students to teachers is often used as a measure of school excellence. 20 students to 1 teacher. Again, you would write it as 20 to 1 or 20 to 1. Recipes, 3 cups of plums to 2 cups of sugar. Quality of gold, gold to ounces of other metal. 14 karat gold is a 14 to 10 ratio. Okay, but remember, you can also express them as divisions, like a fraction. All right. 3 ways. You can actually use the word to, the colon I showed you, and a fraction. Equal ratios. Ratios, like fractions, can be written in higher terms or lower terms. The same fundamental property applies. You may multiply or divide the numerator and the denominator by the same non-zero number. Okay, now let's see. So what that's saying is you can make the numbers larger or you can make them smaller by reducing the fraction. It's all really just reducing fractions. Writing ratios in lowest term. To write a ratio in the lowest term means to factor out any common factors. Okay, so for example, 30 to 25. If we look at this as 30 over 25, it's easy to see I can reduce it because they both have 5s. It would become 6 over 5, which means you could also write it as a 6 to 5 ratio. Reducing ratio practice. Reduce the following ratios, 12 to 20. Again, just write it. I'm sorry, I keep twisting this out of the way. 12 to 20. Well, let's see. They both have 4s in them. So that would give me a 3 to 5 ratio. 25 to 10, they both have 5s. So this is going to be 5 over 2, or a 5 to 2 ratio. 75 to 25, there are 3 25s and 75. So this is basically a 3 to 1 ratio. All right, now when you have fractions, sometimes you have complex fractions that express these ratios. If you're looking at one ratio to another ratio that are in fraction form, you're going to get a complex. So now we have to simplify these. The easiest way to do this, if you remember, is you take your denominator, you flip and multiply. Okay, so there's a couple of ways to do it, but I'm going to show you this one first. Okay, so if I have 3/4 divided by 1/2, it's the same thing as saying times 2 over 1. Now the 4 is 2 times 2, so that actually gives me a 3 over 2 times 1 is 2. I can simplify it. Now number 2 here, I have to turn it into a improper fraction for the numerator. I need it to be a fraction. Okay, so 1 times 7 is 7, plus 4 is 11. So this is actually 11 over 7, 5 over 7. Flip and multiply. So now I have 55 over 49. No way to simplify. So it's a 55 to 49 ratio. All right, here, now I'm going to show you the other way to do this. You can multiply the top and the bottom, the two extremes, and you would get 20, and then the next two inner ones, and you would get 3 times 9 is 27. No common numbers, so that would be your reduced fraction. You choose which way you want to do it. It's totally okay with me either way. All right, ratios containing decimals. Multiply the numerator and denominator of the fraction by the same multiple of 10 to remove the decimals. Sorry, my eyes are bothering me. All right, so a 0.2 okay, so we have 0.2 over 0.63. Well, the 0.63 is actually 2 decimals, right? Okay, so that means 100. 1 decimal is 10, 2 is 100. So I'm going to multiply both of these times 100, and that's going to get rid of, now I'm multiplying the fraction by 1, right? It's 100 over 100, so that's 1. Okay, so now I'm not changing its value, I'm just changing what it looks like. So that's going to give me 20 and 63. So then my ratio is 20 to 63. All right, now you can do this a little easier. I just was showing you that so you can see why it works. But notice I have 1 decimal place, so as long as I move the same number of decimal places on each number, I've got it. All right, so this one has 0, this one has 1, so I need to add another 0 there. So this is going to be 5 to 100. All right, writing a fraction as a decimal. Divide the numerator by the denominator. Okay, so it's just do the division. If you want to convert from fraction to decimal, just do the division. Okay, so 40 divided by 5, well, I happen to know that's 8. So this is actually just 8.0. It's just 8. All right, 1.23 divided by 2. 2 goes into 12 6 times. Oops, I put the 6 in the wrong place. Apologies, it's been a bit. All right, now I put the 12 here, I subtract, I get 0, I bring down the 3. 2 goes into 3 once. 2, 1. Subtract, I get 1. All right, now I bring down a 0, I have 10. 2 goes into 10 5 times. Remember, my decimal place was right here. So I have 10, and that leaves me with a 0. All right, so 0.615 would be my answer, the decimal version. All right, now we have 88 divided by 0.5. Now, if it was me, I would look at that as 88 divided by 1/2 and flip and multiply. Much easier. But right now, this is the way we're doing it, so you can see how it works. All right, 1/2 or 0.5 goes into 8 16 times, right? There are 16 halves in 8. Okay. 0.5 goes in, okay, that gives me the 8, cross out, subtract 0, bring down the 8. Again, 16 times. And there we go. The answer simplified is just 16 over 16 because this comes out to be an even 0. All right.